and welcome to Facebook Live. I am Kenda Ruth with the Hero Spouse, here to answer your questions about midlife crisis and marriage. Today, instead of going live in 3 places like we usually go, we are going live in 2 places because StreamYard no longer allows me to stream into the private Facebook group. So I have just gone to the private group and put in a... allows me to stream into the private Facebook group. Oops, hold on. Don't know where that was coming from. I must have one of the groups open. So Facebook no longer allows me to stream into the private group, so I have just gone into the private group and put a link to the YouTube page and to the public Facebook page. So if you're in the private group, you can find that and you can go over to YouTube. And I have just checked in. That's where I'm seeing myself go on YouTube, and I will follow on YouTube. And I will go to the Facebook group, the public group. Let me refresh my screen over there so I can follow along in both places, and I can see the comments come through on my iPad, which has the camera on it as well. See that I'm coming through. Good. I can see and that everything is coming through. My printer does not seem to be working, so I will be catching, unless it's suddenly, sometimes it starts printing 30 minutes after I send something, sometimes 3 hours after I send something. So it could just start chugging away while I'm chatting. But otherwise, I will be catching all of your questions. I'll just take them right straight off of my computer. So other than that, I am here for launch day. I do Facebook Lives for my lunch week. Stand Up and Thrive, my membership for Left Behind and Forward Moving Spouses, is now open. I open it for a week at a time, every 8 weeks, because my course Detach and Thrive is embedded into my membership, Stand Up and Thrive. And Detach and Thrive lasts for 8 weeks. So we go 8 weeks and then we open it up again. So I am going to put a link to Stand Up and Thrive, if anyone is interested, into the comments for into the chat area, in case anyone is interested. It is also in all of your emails and everywhere else you can look. But that is open for a week, so it's open until next Thursday at 9:00 p.m. Pacific time. So give me a moment. Let me grab that. Usually I have an announcement to tell you whether you're in the public or private Facebook group. So I had not thought that through, since Facebook, it was kind of sudden when it happened. So hold on, and we are in. I can see that that it's working. Putting it in the chat. I've put it in the chat on YouTube, but I don't know that it worked. I pushed the little button. Okay, it looks like it worked on YouTube, but it doesn't. I don't see it come through here, so I don't know if the YouTube chat comes through on my iPad. And I'll see it come through up here, and there it goes. Okay, so I will try and follow along in the chat. If you have any questions, let me know. If anything comes through, if the sound stops coming through, okay, let me know, because I have my sound turned off, because otherwise it'll get feedback. So we're going to go to our first question, and I have to go off screen since my printer is not working. So we have an anonymous female left behind and forward moving spouse with a bomb drop of December 28th, 2022, a date of marriage of 1994. Contact type is a vanisher and not familiar with energy level types yet. Says, married 29 years with 2 adult daughters. Sister, and it doesn't say my or her or my or his. So, sister died April 22nd, April 2022. This rocked him. I caught him in an online emotional affair right before bomb drop in December of 2022. He moved out and started dating women, but we did stay in contact and saw each other a few times. Hold on. Well, I'll look at it. Okay, Jared. And Jared, you're asking me, how do you know if she is one? Okay. I got starting. We did stay in contact and saw each other a few times, but now he has had one woman, so one alienator. May 2023, he said we should divorce in our one joint therapy session. So May 2023, bomb drop had been December of 2022. So, and that was the very end of December. So basically January of 2023 to May, January to May, that time frame to the one therapy session was in May. He said we should divorce, but state rules are we have to be physically separated for a year. He stayed at the house one night in late June of 2023 for a family funeral. Makes sense. Only have email business contact. I'm standing. He wrote 1 month ago about moving forward. No word divorce, so the word divorce was not used. He spoke about splitting everything 50-50 and used one lawyer to save on expenses. So he wants to use one lawyer to save on expenses. I didn't respond and I won't. Okay. I probably wouldn't either. I understand that. He has not written again. I don't want a divorce. I have always been polite and respectful in any email I have sent showing grace and dignity. I have told him I love him and I miss him. I want to get marriage counseling and work on a reconciliation. Can this happen? So, well, can it happen? Yes. Will it happen? So first thing, you have an off and on probably rather than a vanisher, I'm guessing. But yes, you are correct that it looks like a distant contactor rather than a close contactor. So, and I think you know this. I think you know this just by instinctively. The odds with distant contactors versus close contactors are not as great. They're not as, the first thing, the odds for everybody, the global group of left behind and forward moving spouses within the MLC group, odds are low anyway, okay? But if we were to say who are, of those who are low, who are the ones who are the highest of the low, it's still the close contactors. And of those, the highest of those are the clinging boomerangs. The lowest odds are the vanishers, because if you don't have contact, how are you ever going to get back together? So there's that. Now, so you have a distant contactor. You have occasional contact, and it is business, but it's occasional. And if you are still contacting back to him, can it happen? Anything can. It's the will. You want to know, will it happen? More likely. Okay. You want to get marriage counseling. You are not far enough in for it to really be that long. A turnaround would not have happened at this point anyway. It is 2024, and bomb drop was 12/28/2022. So let's just say 1/1/2023. Okay, make it easier for the year, because we see the word 2022 and we think 2, 4. It's been 2 years, but really it's 2023, and it has been a year and a half. Right at about now, because we're at June. So it has been 18 months now. And 18 months is that you're still in that first part. If you go on the first part of on the homepage of my main website, where I have FAQs, and one of the main questions that people ask is, what stage is my MLCer in? And what I do with that question is I say, if your MLCer is in the first. If bomb drop was 1 month ago, your MLCer is in escape and avoid. If bomb drop was 3 months ago, your MLCer is in escape and avoid. If it was 6 months ago, escape and avoid. 12 months ago, escape and avoid. I think I get to 18 months and I say probably escape and avoid. I think at 24-hour months, I say probably, but might not be escape and avoid. And it could be still escape and avoid even at 36 months. Some of them are still there way out, but they shouldn't be, but they still could be. So your MLCer is still probably an escape and avoid. You're not getting to a point where you're even getting to a liminality. Liminality isn't turning around. That's falling into the deep, deep depression. So you wouldn't see them trying to change their mind. Liminality is also, if you want to know about an awakening, awakening isn't like when they turn around also. An awakening is, what the fuck have I done? Oh my God, I've messed up my whole life. I'm going to go further into my hidey hole because I ruined everything. Turtle in. And they go into liminality. So they withdraw more. Think of liminality as withdraw more, crash more. That's when the psyche really falls apart. So yeah, a reconciliation can happen. I don't want you to think that it will happen. This is the difference, can and will. I can tell everybody, yes, sure, it can happen, but we can also win the lottery. And so whenever I say something can happen, I don't want you to think that I'm telling you it's going to happen. I want you to go full eyes wide open on these things. The odds are against every single one of us. And you need to go in, if you're going to stand, you walk in knowing that. And knowing that if you have a distant contactor, the odds are even more against you with that. So what does that mean for you? That means you get your own lawyer first. Splitting everything 50-50, if that is what is fair, if that is what is best for each one of you, if that is what each one of you have earned and are deserved throughout the marriage. So did you put him through school? That sort of thing. Did you stay home while he worked, but you raised those girls? That type of thing. And that, in that sense, then do you not have a livelihood anymore? But you supported him by staying at home. You supported him in allowing him to be able to go out and get a job. And now, does that going to leave you destitute? So you might be owed more of the 50. I don't know, but that's where you need somebody who is going to be in your corner. And that could be happen through mediation. I don't know. And I don't want it to go into high conflict. I don't like that kind of thing. That's not good for the rest of the people that are going to go into these family courts, and all of them going in to this bin, and just every one of them that makes it high conflict makes it easier for the next one to go high conflict. Okay. You be grace. Go into mediation, but have somebody there. Have somebody there to support you and to be there for you. You don't have to mention the word divorce. He can do it. He does the work. But you still have somebody there. But you have somebody there for you because he did. Because he's forcing that upon it. I don't like to take it in a victim way and say, he made you do it. But that's how these things work. And that is what I told Chuck. He didn't like it when I did it either. He didn't like it if I talked about it, if I brought it up. And he was very upset when I went and got my own attorney. And it wasn't very long in the system. He stopped the divorce very quickly. He didn't stop the MLC. That kept going. But he stopped the divorce very quickly. But he was livid when I went and got an attorney. And I just very calmly said, sorry, that's the way these things work. Click. Hung up the phone. We're not going to talk about this sort of thing. And you can talk to your lawyer about that. Well, you're costing us more money if I have to talk to my lawyer. I'm sorry. Then you should have thought of that before you got a lawyer. Then you should have thought of that before you filed for divorce. You're the one filing for divorce. I get, you can always solve it by unfiling. And I talked in that kind of calm manner, which just might upset him more, but I wasn't going to raise my voice to it. And he'll just continue with it. You continue to be Grace. And it's going to take a few years because he is nowhere near. If MLC takes 3 to 5 years, he's not there. 3 to 5 years, you don't see a turnaround until 3. And that's early. It really is. Okay. And he's halfway to that early turnaround. You just plug on with being Grace. You plug on with doing your healing. Okay. I'm going to read through really quick and see if there's anything I missed. And then I'm going to go on to number 2. Okay. So hold on. He has one woman now. He said you should divorce in your joint therapy. State rules. State law said you have to be separated for 1 year. Business email contact. Talked about splitting. Okay. So the next thing you do is you don't have to continue talking about, I want to get marriage counseling and work on reconciliation. He knows it. But if you continue to say it too frequently, he's like, I've already told you what I want, or I don't want that. I don't want that. Why can't you get my message? Said it once. And there's no reason there's nothing to counsel on right now. There's nothing to reconcile on right now. Because marriage counseling and reconciliation are for when you're already starting to come back together. And so he has to come back and want to do something, and then you talk about that piece. Okay, so don't bring that piece up again. It was correct and good for you to bring it up initially. Just don't do it again and again. Okay, so I am going to go on to number 2. Number 2, and I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, we have Marish or Marish, who has a bomb drop of May 31st, 2022, a date of marriage of 2014, and an at-home MLCer who is a low energy wallower. She says, at home, separated, no more contact with alienator. Nice to me, but nothing romantic. How long will his limerance last? So, and that's very short. That's it. Okay. So what you're saying is he doesn't have the alienator anymore. They're out of contact. But you feel that he's still limerent for her. So some of the questions I would have regarding that would, first, was this an emotional affair or a physical affair? You say at home separated, so separate rooms, or fully divided in the household, like there's one person's in the garage, one person's in an attic apartment type of thing, or that sort of thing. Nice, nothing romantic, so just, or was this an emotional affair? Because limerence typically can go, is up to 36 months is the general. There are things that can destroy limerence, but it can also be a lot of pining away, especially when it is unrequited. And so he can have this fantasy. And I can't tell you how long it's going to take him to get through that. Some of that is going to be the chemicals, but some of that is going to be he needs additional help, probably. Because you're at 2 years. And no more contact. I don't know how long he's been out of contact. And I don't know what happened between the two of them to stop the contact or to end the relationship. Because there can be things that ended the relationship, but it sounds like you say he is still in limerence with her. And so what happened and what kind of limerence was this? And what was she doing, and is she still doing? Is she still reaching out to him? Even though you say no more contact, but does that mean no more physical contact? But are there other forms of contact? Electronic, that sort of thing. Knowing each other through work, where she can communicate with him that way. Because that can also keep things going. Or he can follow her on Facebook or watch on Instagram. Oh, I can see what she's doing. I don't mean like in a creepy way. I mean, I guess it could be, but I just mean, he can, watch somebody and say, oh, I can see that, they're living their life and I miss them. So that could keep something going. And it could extend it because he's pining. And he needs help. And it is beyond our ability because they cut us out. And cut us out is we lose the right of spouse. We lose the right of wife. We lose the right of husband. And that is one of those rights we have of, hi, honey, you look like you need to go to the doctor today. Would you like me to make you an appointment? Would you like me to go to your doctor appointment with you? Do you need some help? That sort of thing. Kind of on the lines of social grooming. You know how baboons groom themselves. But now in this, hey, stay away from me. Get away. You have cooties. It's the right of spouse where we have these rights that other people don't. And we lose that. And you don't have that right now. And he won't let you in usually. Some of them won't go to doctors anyway. I don't mean in that way, but just our ability to make a suggestion, even if they'll resist the suggestion when we do have the right of spouse. But now they won't allow us for the suggestion. They will shut us down. And so you have to be really careful. Do you have the right of spouse even for a suggestion? And how do you get that in? Because he needs help. Because I can't tell you how long it's last because I don't know how long it's been already started. I can tell you how long limerence does last. And it's typical for up to 36 months is a general. But unrequited is different. The conditions are different. What she's doing, how he's handling it, how it ended, all sorts of other factors going into this. Okay? And if it was emotional versus physical, because we've got quite a few out there where they're emotional affairs and they are different. So somebody you might want to talk to out there, if it's an emotional one, is go find Tessa at the Facebook page. Go find Tessa. And she might not be available for the next few days. But go look up Tessa Jordan and look up her posts. She's probably not around for a few days. But she had a situation with an emotional affair. And it had been very, very difficult to get that limerence. And it was emotional. And some of the challenge was due to it being emotional. Okay? Okay. Right now I am going to, Jared, I'm going to read your messages a little bit. I'm going to scroll a little, which is why. So, okay. So I'm going to read them out loud for others. How do I know if she's a covert narcissist or having a midlife crisis? My therapist said it sounds like covert narcissist. So first thing, a few things I'm going to say about that. Number one, narcissist and covert. Buzzwords right now. Second thing, midlife crisis is always going to sound like narcissist because MLCers are temporary narcissists. Covert, forget, just narcissists, whether covert or not. Always going to sound like narcissist during the midlife crisis. Okay. 4 kids at home, we've had a struggle. Okay. Mostly it's her being irresponsible and just basic bare minimum things she should be doing as a mom and wife. She'll never hear anyone take accountability or validate feelings. She has a major childhood trauma. She's left me with the kids to chase a life of finding herself. Was a great one. So here's the question that I'm going to ask of you. And I'm only at parts. Was once a great wife and mother. One of the things, and covert changes the dynamics of it. And it is a buzzword now, so it's harder to look back. But when we look at narcissism, one of the things you want to look at is this how they've always been? Like I said, covert's going to change the dynamics of this because it was covert. But setting the term covert aside, if somebody's a narcissist, that's how they've been. If they're an MLC or just an MLC, or not somebody who has been a narcissist, but somebody who is showing narcissistic tendencies during MLC, but they weren't that way before, then you have to look at the back, because we have MLCers who are narcissists. And by narcissist, when I say that, I actually mean narcissistic personality disorder. You could have NPDers who have a midlife crisis also. So you look back and see, have they really always been this way? Have I been wearing rose-colored glasses? So you look back, were they this way in their 20s? Were they this way in their 20s? And were they this way in their 30s? And if you look and see patterns of behavior, if you don't see those patterns of behavior, but you can see genuine empathy and other things, and that you can cross off, or if they check all the narcissist boxes at times that aren't this isolated period of transition. Okay, so mostly it's her being irresponsible. She has major childhood traumas, left me with the kids to chase a life of finding herself. She told me she's worried she will go to hell for what she's doing. She stays in contact. She asked for a divorce. We filed. She wanted nothing but her car and agreed to pay me child support. Yeah, she's running. She agreed to allow me to take custodial parent, and she gets one night a week. She only reaches out to 2 of the 4 kids. She's been gone 9 months, and she's 35. So rather than put a label on her, let's not put a label on her, okay? Or instead of putting a label on her, put the label of trauma on her. Put her through the ACEs test. The ACEs is somebody who is better with acronyms. It's the childhood trauma. ACE, adverse childhood experiences. So put her through where does she come out on ACEs? Because you said she has trauma. And what I'm curious then is, how activated is her amygdala? Scores high. Okay. So is it really fair to say covert narcissist? And I don't know, is covert narcissist, when we say covert narcissist, are we saying that as an adjective, or are we saying that as a diagnosis? Because those are 2 different things. A diagnosis is covert narcissistic personality disorder, or are we saying she is narcissistic in a covert manner? Because it's really not fair in my view, and we have to be careful of that buzzword. I use it all the time, and then I always try and put this caveat around it. MLCers are narcissistic. They are like NPDers, but it's this little mini NPD. And technically NPD is not a little mini thing in life. So we want to be really careful. And therapists are trained to recognize these things, but at the same time, therapists are also resistant to MLC. And MLC is not a pathology officially. And I'm not somebody who thinks it should be officially either. It is not in the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. You will not find it in there. So they cannot go in and find a classification for a midlife crisis. And if it were, she might be just outside of it at 35 anyway. So she is, and at 35, you might find her having a problem again at 47, and then again at 58, because if she doesn't resolve these issues at least. So she needs some help. She needs to find something that is going to, maybe some trauma therapy. Is she willing to get that trauma therapy is what you need to look at. And yeah, you should have the kids. That is a great thing for you to have the kids. I am glad that she is giving you the kids. I'm supposing that you are responsible, and that she at least has the foresight and insight to recognize that. And rather than think of her as the narcissist, say she was responsible enough to recognize her irresponsibility. Okay, good, good. See if she is willing to look at trauma therapy and what she needs to do for herself, and give her praise for recognizing that she is not of the capacity right now. Praise her for all those things. That's great. So, and look into things like EMDR. That is specific for trauma. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go to number 3 on my list. Okay. We have number 3. It is an anonymous female left behind and forward moving spouse. And we have gone over this a little bit, but I'm going to tell you right now, I've been busy, and so I have looked over your previous ones, but I have not listened to them. So I try to listen to them when I have time. So I apologize for not having gone into more depth with them a little bit. But we have a bomb drop of February 28th, 2023. Date of marriage of 2012. She has a vanisher who is a low energy wallower. She says, my MLCer started as a clinging boomerang after moving out in April of 2023. She then filed for divorce in October of 2023, and that's just this past October. She blocked me on everything and went no contact with me in November of 2023. She still has contact with our teenage daughter who lives with me, and teenage is her stepdaughter, as I recall. But to me, she's a vanisher. My teen daughter is worried that she will be ghosted by her next. Yeah, and at last one, she was driving her to school, wasn't she? Honestly, I expect that to happen, but I hope I'm wrong. She's her stepmom, so there's no legal requirements, but she's raised her like her own. And let's see, date of marriage was 2012. So yeah, you've been together long enough for her. She was, toddler at the time? Okay. If they started as a clinging boomerang and then turned into a vanisher, we talked a little bit about that last time, does it mean that their mind is made up and they won't ever return? If she ghosts my daughter, will that be permanent? Okay, and when you're asking if she goes, do you mean will it be permanent for your daughter or will it be permanent for you? I think you're probably meaning for you. So, well, I would hope not. If she ghosts your daughter, first thing, your daughter's going to have some sort of say in it, but it might be a long time. It would probably be, there would be a long estrangement. And how long will that last? Because your daughter will be an adult and she'll have some sort of, I'm going to look up my mom again, that sort of thing. Okay. And how is she going to go about doing that? And the nerves she's going to have. And I'm scared, but I want to look at my mom. I want to recontact her. And it'll be a whole big to-do. Okay, but we talked a little bit about it. You have a female MLCer, and female MLCers, first thing, when they leave, they're a little bit more decisive. So there's that. When they leave, they stay home longer, and yours didn't. But when they leave, they are more likely than others, than a male counterpart, to be more distant. That doesn't mean that they are necessarily, distant, but just more likely. And so she's following that pattern of she is a little more distant, at least you have some form of grapevine. She has blocked you. She still has contact through, you have a grapevine of contact right now. How is she? I'm really curious right now, though, is how is the relationship with your daughter? And when I say your right now, I'm speaking your plural. Okay. How is, so let me say, instead of, let's take the your away, and how is her relationship with her daughter? Because that is a daughter you share. And how is their relationship? There could be strain, but is it still loving? Or is it resistant? Is there anger? And by anger, yeah, I can see anger in your daughter's angry at her, but I mean, is it, I don't want to see you ever again angry from either one of them, and I'm being forced to see you? Or is it, I'm angry at you, but I miss you? Those are two different kinds of things. I'm angry at you and I'm so afraid you're going to abandon me. And then, honey, I won't do that to you. What is it? Your daughter's scared, isn't she? And has she talked about that with her? What is she done to address her concerns? Because you're starting to be afraid that she's going to ghost her. And why is this fear coming up? Is it because of anger from one of them or the other or both of them? When your wife was bringing your daughter to school, was it because they were both not talking and like, okay, you're here to and I'm just being forced to sit here, daughter's, to school, but I don't want to talk to you? Was it because of that? Because sometimes when your child won't talk to you and is just there, you're like, why do I even bother? I'm just going to give up. And the resistant adult MLCer will do that as well. Both of them will do that. MLCers, remember, are teenagers. They're 17 years old. The hope is that they stop being 17, but it takes a few years. And the hope is that they become mature again. How immature is she right now? There's varying levels of immaturity of MLCers. There's varying levels. She is a low energy wallower. A low energy wallower is either more depressed and sad or seething and kind of boiling under the surface and embarrassed and ashamed. And how accepting is your daughter? Or how scared is she? And when your daughter's scared, does she put up a wall around her and like, just don't talk to me. I don't want to be around you. And we can't make your daughter be the one also. But I want your daughter to have a relationship with both her moms so that she can feel accepted and loved by both of you. So does it mean she's made up her mind? No. MLCers are mercurial. It doesn't mean she's still in. So let's talk about making up your mind for a minute. She is, okay, so we're at February 2023. So we're a little over a year. And we're about 16 months out. Not an awakening yet. And remember what awakening is. It's the WTF moment, the what the fuck have I done? I destroyed my life. I'm going to turtle in, I'm going to crash, bam. And crash is going into liminality, into the depression. And what that really is I think of a person in the sense of as a mosaic. And the mosaic, you crash and you come apart. And now you have to put yourself back together. Maybe you're the mosaic afterwards. You're a beautiful mosaic after midlife crisis because you've put yourself back together. And so liminality is where you're putting yourself back together and you have all those cracks. But we're beautiful afterwards. And she hasn't gotten to there yet. So nothing is permanent. She hasn't even gotten there. So she can't have made up her mind because she hasn't even fallen apart yet. I know, it seems like we're falling apart. I know. But at this point in Escape and Avoid, MLCers are so afraid of falling apart that the escape and avoid is what they're trying to escape and avoid doing, is the falling apart. So I'm trying to think of the right metaphor for this one. Imagine that you can feel yourself coming apart at the seams. And so you spin and you spin and you spin. And that as a way to escape, because the centrifugal force is your way of escaping the cracking up. Now I'm getting into physics, okay? I don't know where I got that, but it's your way of escaping the cracking up of liminality. But it doesn't stop it forever. So that's what they're doing with this escape and avoid. They're just spinning, 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 faster, 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 to stop the breaking apart. So she can't have made up her mind yet because she hasn't even fallen apart yet, because she won't stop running. And that's true, even low energy wallowers. Because it's only a metaphor. Remember, it's a metaphor. The metaphor works better when we think of high energy replayer, because they may be sometimes almost literal. Some of them are literally running. They're running marathons and they're running up mountains and things like that. But it's escape. And for low energy wallowers, they're escaping inside themselves. They're escaping into whatever their pain is, whatever they're doing to avoid. But it's still escape. They're escaping, they're using something to avoid falling apart and crumbling. And then you crumble, you fall apart, and your psyche, who you are, is in pieces. That's liminality. You have the awakening, is your WTF moment. Oh my God, you turtle in or fall apart. You withdraw. It's a withdrawal because I can't face it. So you become more depressed and you fall apart. That's liminality. And who you are is in pieces all at your feet, which is odd because are your feet in pieces too. But now you put yourself back together. So now you're a beautiful mosaic. Now imagine you're the beautiful mosaic. Now you're going to go out and integrate, and you're going to start making up your mind. Integration is where you're making decisions. Integration, you have to build yourself back up to have a mind to make. So no, her mind's not made up. But remember what I said before in the other questions. Odds are still against us, okay? But her mind's not made up. Okay. 4, 5, and 6. I'm gonna go. And while I am at it, I'm going to tell you that I would really want to go again on Monday because I liked doing 3 instead of 2. So I would love to do another Facebook Live on Monday. I have another one on next Thursday. I always end with one. I am going to cram one in on Monday because I have Peyton has an optometry appointment. I have to move a Thrive. We always have a Thrive meeting on Mondays. So I'm kind of crammed in, but I'd like to cram one in there. Cram one in. So keep sending questions though, because I need more questions. Every question I received, I have put on the list today. So I'd like to finish one out, but if I did receive one at the last minute, I might not get to that one. Not exactly the last minute, but I hadn't quite read it. So if I don't get to number 6 that I have on here today, it will be spilled onto the next, okay? Because we only have 13 minutes. And it is cake day today. Blaze's birthday party is on Saturday, and I am supposed to be stacking the cakes. I stack cakes, and tomorrow is covered cakes with frosting and stuff. So number 4. We have a male left behind in Forward Moving Spouse, an anonymous male, with a bomb drop of November 15th, 2023, and a date of marriage of 2005. He is not familiar with contact type, but says he has a high energy replayer. He says, I'm told by my 16-year-old daughter that my 48-year-old wife is out with friends all the time and talks on the phone for hours every day. She never talked on the phone, on the home. It says on the home before, but do you mean on the phone or on the home phone before? No. And has drastically changed since moving out 3.5 months ago. She even got herself her belly button pierced. And then like a bunch of question marks. Like, huh? My daughter was mortified, and she said, Mom is definitely in midlife crisis. I like how your daughter identified it. Yeah. My question is, do they still cycle with reality? And the phrasing, damn it, the phrasing was a little off, so I've tried to figure out what the meaning was. Do they still cycle with reality? And then it was a new sentence. Damage they are causing to kids and family, or are they just numb until years later when the earth is scorched? And so what I think, and this is what one of the ones I put in the email, and I think what you meant was, do they cycle with reality, understanding sometimes what the damage they're causing, and then, or do they just stay numb to reality even when they're cycling, and then figure it out years later once it's all done, once everything is destroyed? So first thing, let me go over some stuff. What your daughter is seeing is perfectly normal. MLCers, the standard age, they can cycle ages, but the standard age that I have noticed MLCers go to is, as I said earlier, 17. Standard teenage years. MLCers regress to age 17. And what do we notice with women is they seem to take on histrionic tendencies often. At least those, let me restate that. Those who are high energy replay women take on histrionic tendencies. Low energy wallowers, different. They would seem like depressed. But high energy replayers, they dress like prostitutes and take on histrionic tendencies. So overly dramatic and sexualize themselves. So the belly button piercing, even for the person who would never have done that sort of thing, yeah, absolutely typical of an MLC female high energy replayer. Absolutely. And your wife is right there in the right age range at 48, 46, and some, I think 45 to 47 is the average age of bomb drop. I don't have a lot of women in my survey that I used to have. So 45 and a half, I think, for a while, then it went to 46. So, but she's right in there. Okay. And tattoos, belly button piercings, I've heard all of those are standard. And for women, it is a lot of cosmetic surgery types of things. So I hear a lot of breast augmentations. So yeah, you're describing MLC right there. Now, do they realize the damage they're causing? Yes and no. And what I mean by that, first, some of them, yeah, some of them aren't going to realize that. But what they're doing is they're going to continue to escape and avoid when they realize it. They're going to deny it. The shame and the guilt don't bring them out of it. They continue, at least in these early days, they continue to let them go into it more. MLC gets worse before it gets better. And so what that means is the shame. They run from it. They are escaping and avoiding that. They see the damage and, well, it's not my fault. I didn't do that. Or maybe you're just overblowing it. Kids are resilient. They'll figure it out. Well, everybody goes through this. This is just what happens to families. Divorce happens to people. You're blowing it out of proportion, or you're doing that to them. So they could just project it onto you. There's a lot of projection. So any way they can do to project and deflect so that it's not really about them, but it is about them, isn't it? It is from things they're doing. And they will run more. The guilt and the shame are going to weigh down on them. Okay? And so it's not just numbing. It's weighing on them. They can feel that. Which is why sometimes in the beginning, here's what we see with men at least, but we'll see it with women too, but I see it with men. Um, they lose all that weight, men and women, and they're looking great. And then maybe a few years in, the I will hear that the man has gained a ton of weight. First, he lost all this weight and he was doing all this exercise and he was running marathons. And then he gained a whole bunch of weight. And by a whole bunch, I don't mean he gained it back. I mean, and 100 more pounds. Like he ballooned. That sort of thing. Looks horrible, that kind of gaining. So think about that. They wear the guilt and shame in that kind of way. Okay. And deny it. And sometimes they can they'll gaslight themselves of it too. Okay. Your job is to first heal yourself. That's the oxygen mask on yourself. And maintain your empathy for her. And be grace. And set the boundaries and all of those other things. And take into consideration any traumas that she may have had dealing with that could be reliving, or she's not necessarily reliving a trauma, but that influenced why this is now surfacing. Because we have a trauma from whenever, and that trauma comes out in some way. We're like, why did the trauma come out like this at age 48? Don't know why. Okay. We were 17, we had a trauma, and now at 48 comes out, and they don't seem related, but they are. Okay. And so she's acting wild. And she's going to run from therapies and all that. Women are probably less likely to, but not yet. She's still going to run. And your job is to be there for your daughter. At least right now, your 16-year-old daughter recognizes the crazy. And you're going to be a stable force for her. Okay? And you be grace. You be stable, you be grace, you be boundaries. And you be a face and a force of non-judgmental empathy. That doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. Okay? You got to have those. But you set the boundaries and you still be grace. Okay? I don't know if I've answered everything. So let me know. Okay? We got 2 more of these, and then I answer questions every week after that. Okay, I'm going to go on to, I'll do 1 more, and then the next, number 6, we'll go on to, we'll get it on Monday or Thursday. Hopefully Monday, so put in those questions. Okay, number 5, we have Rachel. Rachel has a bomb drop of, this is a new one, March 31st, 2024. Date of marriage of 2001. And Rachel, you say Vanisher, but it is not long enough to say Vanisher yet. But we'll see. Okay. And a high energy replayer. It says 9 weeks since bomb drop, just received divorce papers. That is very fast. Some of them don't send divorce papers after 5 years. Okay. Mine sent them fast, but then he stopped it also. Okay. He said he had a lawyer at bomb drop, but filed without one. What can I do to protect myself and my nearly grown children as the process happens, with or without my wanting it? Should I get a lawyer or try to mediate terms on our own? He gets annoyed quickly when I talk about the situation. Okay, so here's a couple reasons I'm going to say you don't have a Vanisher. He gets annoyed quickly when talking about the situation. That means there's communication. Okay. Right now you have a boomerang. Okay. I can tell you have a boomerang because if you have had any communication within a even 2-month period, I'd say you have a boomerang. And it hasn't been long enough even for us to say that you would have anything else. So you don't even have a distant contactor. We would need to give even 6 months out or more for us to really see. He gets annoyed quickly when talking about the situation. Well, too bad for him, but don't talk about the situation in that sense. You can first, I'm sorry you feel that way, but this is the way things work. And I'm saying that to him from you. I'm sorry you feel that way, but this is how things work. You filed for divorce. You get a lawyer, I get a lawyer. So yes, you should get your own lawyer. That is my view. Sorry, Dion from Thrive. That's just my view in it. Not everybody has one. You can have a mediator, but aren't mediators lawyers who do mediation instead? So that would be a fine way to go. I'm not against mediation, but I think you need your own. I don't like the idea of hey, we're going to use the same person, especially when they get the person and say, you'll use mine. I don't like that. Unless both of you are doing this, really are doing it together. And sorry, but you guys who are here in my group, we're not conscious uncoupling. If it were, if we were all, hi, we're here, all agreeing to happy divorce conscious uncoupling, you wouldn't be in my group, okay? That's a completely different situation. So we need people to protect us. I'm not saying people to fight for us. I don't like that word fight. I like the word peace. I wish peace were a verb and we need people to peace for us. But people to stand in our corner and help protect us. So some of the things you do to protect yourself are get your finances in order, split them. And when I say split them, I don't mean, split your finances. You figure out what credit cards you can have yourself off of his and his off of yours, because is he spending erratically? Watch what is being spent. So for a moment, I am going to go. It is not one of the things I'm really great with, but years ago I did put out a blog article. So I'm going to try and find it and then put a link up. Financial protection while standing. So there are probably, so I have a blog article on financial protection while standing, and I'm going to put a link to it. So hold on a second. Will I grab it and then come back? So I'm going to put that article. I've just put it into the Facebook group. And now I'm going to go over to YouTube and put it here also. I am just not very sure about how this YouTube. I apparently have not figured out how to do all chatting in YouTube, because I have this thing and I put it, but I put it ages ago and it didn't. The chat I put in, the thing I put in YouTube didn't actually go. So I put it into Facebook on the public Facebook page. Okay. With this video. So that you can go look at that. And it has come through. Okay, and that is it is called, and it is at the blog. If anyone wants to go to the blog from any of my main websites, you can also go to, I'm going to direct you, the blog, which is, then I go from the blog Love Anyway, I go into articles, blog list, and then I always do Control F to, and I just always you know how you look for a word on a page, and then I always put in finance. I just put in FIN until I found the word financial, and I found financial protection while standing. I don't know if I explained that well. And then I found the title and I clicked on it and I got to financial protection while standing. It is from November 24, 2015 that I wrote this one. So there's that article that you can look up for financial protection, because you do want to protect your finances. Whatever you do, that is one of the first things you are supposed to do when this happens, is go look at finances, what you should do to protect yourself. But in my opinion, getting a lawyer for yourself that you do not share is important. Okay? And no, I don't want you to go get somebody who's cutthroat and that sort of thing and going to keep it high conflict. I'm not into that. But I do want you to protect yourself. And I'm going to get back to my screen where I can see your work. Okay. Should I get a lawyer, try to mediate terms on our own? I think that if you can talk to somebody who's going to help you with mediation, if it's going to be better that way, yeah. But is it? I don't know. Talk to somebody who can tell you what's going to be better. If you can have somebody help slow it down. Maybe, maybe not. So the next thing is, you yourself, right now, let him do it. You get your own lawyer, but you don't have to have the lawyer do anything other than respond. Chuck did the work, or Chuck's lawyers. My lawyer responded. My lawyer didn't initiate. So we didn't start things. We weren't going to do things to make the process go faster. Unless for your own protection, you need to make it go faster, because that does happen. But if you need that, go for it. But if you're going to stand, you really want to calm the situation down. And you calm the situation down by working on being calm. Because he's going to try and make it go anxious. I want to get you faster. And he's going to try to scare you and going to try and upset you. He's going to try to escalate you and get you more scared so that you can increase the conflict, so that you can also speed it up. He wants to get you to your level, birds of a feather. So your job is to bring it down. And you start by bringing you down, okay? Start with healing you and detaching you. And there are some legal requirements you may have if he starts this process. So he had a lawyer, a bond driver, filed without one. I love the filing without one part. You get a professional to protect yourself. Okay? But you do everything that you need to do to drag it out. And I don't mean intentionally or unintentionally. I mean, hey, you don't have to initiate anything. You don't have to. You don't want this. This is his divorce. And there are some places that if you do nothing, it goes away by default. Not all places. Find out. Because he started it fast, but they don't all keep it up that fast. So let's calm it down. Because my husband started it fast. And then he stopped it. That is rare. Both of those are rare. Most of them don't start it fast. Most of them who start it don't actually end it like that either. He started it. First thing, he gave them a retainer. Then he called them and said, just keep the retainer. But hold on to the money. I don't want it back, but I'm not going to file right now. But I'll change my mind. I think I'll file in a few months. So don't give me the money back. Seriously, give me a few $1,000s. Then he did file before he was going to. Then he changed his, then he unfiled. And then for the next few years, he kept going through his MLC, but didn't go back and file again. No divorce. So, and it was an alienator behind him that was saying he had to do it. You have to look at the situation and you bring it down. You can bring that down. And it might or may not work with him. He's going to get annoyed. And so you're going to be calm. Be a calming force. And I can't promise you that that calming force is going to or is not going to work. But you're going to be a calming force anyway. Because it's good for you. Even if it doesn't work on him. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. And you keep doing it again. Okay? Mindfulness. Okay? And detachment. And mindfulness is how you get to detachment. Okay, so keep the questions coming. I saw one just pop in. And then we can meet again on Monday. Mondays will be earlier since I have appointments and a Zoom meeting. And we will meet then again on next Thursday. So no individual streamed questions this coming week. But I will see you hopefully for Facebook Live on Monday. And again, next Thursday. And don't forget, Stand Up and Thrive is open until next Thursday. So if you're interested, you can join. If you have any questions, you can let me know. You can ask questions in the Facebook group. You can respond back. If you're on the email list, you can just shoot me an email, because you can just respond to one of the emails. You can send me a PM on Facebook, but that's a really bad way to get a hold of me. I don't always see them. I don't always check them. And I often get those PMs from Facebook saying you're about to be shut down because you've done something wrong, and I ignore those. So sometimes I'm afraid to check the PMs because if it's somebody I don't know and I'm not connected to, so because they're scary. So that's actually a really bad way to get a hold of me. So email, or even just posting with a tag for me, is better. But if you have questions, let me know. Or if you have questions of other people in Thrive, you could just highlight, hey, Thrivers, if you want to know from any of them. Okay? And I will see you next Monday. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.